Okay, folks, excuse me, welcome back to the channel as usual. Right, today we continue with my Hugo Award winners project for science fiction books. As usual, I'll just give you a brief intro for those who are fresh to this, just coming to it maybe. Way back in the 60s and 70s, I used to read a lot of science fiction and collect as well. But for one reason or another, it was mainly short stories that I read. Did read some novels, but it was a lot of short stories. And now I'm back into it, well into it. I decided that I would make up for lost time and try and read a lot, if not all, hopefully, of the novels that won the Hugo Prize, which was a prestigious prize given by the Science Fiction Writers of America each year. And these are not reviews as such, they're more my impressions of the book. Although there's a fine line, between reviews and impressions, but I've never done reviews, so I don't like to think of them that way. Anyway, that's a rough guide to what we're doing here, what I'm doing here. I've only got one book for you today because I'm trying to read a couple of more contemporary books, having read vintage up to now, and they're all about 1,000 pages long. So it might be a while before I do another one. So I thought I'd do this one while the book I just read is fresh in my mind. And that particular book is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. Now, Ender's Game won the Hugo Award in 1982. So this kind of straddles the line between contemporary and vintage. It's not quite vintage and it's not quite what you would regard as contemporary. Now I've seen that, I saw the film many moons ago, but I don't remember much of it, so obviously it didn't make much an impression of me. So it didn't influence my my judgment of this one. Okay, so let's get going. Have you ever read a book that's kind of pulled you both ways? This was such. I read the first third of the book and I thought to myself, how did this ever get published, let alone win a Hugo Award? I mean, if your thing is a load of kids flying around in a simulation null gravity battle room, then this is the book for you. Well, it wasn't, and it isn't, or isn't and wasn't. I don't know which way I should say that. And then something miraculous happened. The black clouds blew away because I came invested in the character Ender. And it's always a sign of a good book where you can follow and get involved with the main protagonist. And now I'm just going to digress a moment. One of my favourite screen characters is the man from No Name from the Dollars films of the 1960s. The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, all of that stuff. And in the first film, there's a scene near the end where he gets brutally beaten within an inch of his life by this family in this small hick, place in Nowheresville in USA. And he manages to escape craftily. And he gets taken by a friend to this abandoned mine. And the friend brings him, during the beating, his gun hand was trodden on badly. And his friend bought him his gun and holster, which he managed to steal. and he sat in the mine for weeks on end, just practicing, trying to get 6 shots together, in a pattern, close to each other. Well, eventually he manages this, and he goes back into the town and faces down the head of this family, who's a sharpshooter. He could hit a matchstick head from 200 yards. Faced him down, and eventually he prevailed against him and the rest of his brothers and the family, the henchmen, if you like. And it was a case of one man prevailing against all the odds, and that's what this book is about. It's about Ender Wiggin, a young lad who gets drafted into the military, very young, 6 years old, I think it was. And he is kind of regarded, I don't know why, at that early age as the one, a la Neo from The Matrix, or Paul Atreides, in Dune. And he is sent to battle school, and he goes through this rigorous regime where nobody tries to be his friend. They isolate him, although he does make a few allies along the way we could regard as friends. And it's just a book about triumphing in the face of adversity. Now, I had, apart from the opening sequences in the battle room, I had a few more, one main problem with this book, and it was to do with his brother and sister. I think they were only like 9 or 10 at the time, using pseudonyms on the net. The net wasn't, all that popular back then. But they're on the net using pseudonyms, and they managed to influence world politics, which I found a little far-fetched. But apart from that, I found it to be a very absorbing book, well, at least the last 2/3. And just a great protagonist. It was written quite well. Orson Scott Card, I believe, I've never read any of his stuff, but he is one of those Marmite authors. People either love him or hate him. He was all I know about him was he was a Mormon, so he had some strange views, if you like, politically, and I think he was a homophobe, from what I hear. Yeah. So that was Ender's Game. As I say, it's not what you would call contemporary, but for me it is, because I've been going back to the 60s and early 70s. So yeah, that's about all I can say about that. It might be wise to mention that he is, I told you, he was regarded as the one, and he becomes very adept at everything military. And the reason for that is because of the buggers. I'm not swearing there. The buggers are the alien race that threaten the Earth. But there's a big twist later on, or 2 twists really. But I won't go into that because, as you know, I don't like to enter that spoiler territory. But I thought it might be worth mentioning the reason for Ender's existence, if you like. There are some good peripheral characters, but of course Ender is the main focus. So there you have it, folks. There's Ender's Game. On a scale of 1 to 10 as usual, with 5 as average. If I was marking it after the first third, I'll give it about 1 out of 10. But taking it overall, which I quite enjoyed, I must admit, I'd give it a solid 8. It was good for the rest of the time. I think there is a sequel to it, Speaker for the Dead, I think it's called. I think that's a sequel. So I don't know if that won a Hugo. I can't remember, but if it did, I'll be reading it. So, right, thank you for watching as usual. As I say, I might not be along for a while with any more of these because all the books I've looked at that I've got are very, very long. I did get one in the post the other day, which is a bit shorter. I might do that first. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, please like, please share if you can, and please comment, because I like, I don't get too many comments, unfortunately. But even if you agree or disagree with me, please send in a comment. And all that remains to say is I'll be back before Christmas. I won't say Happy Christmas, but thank you, over and out, goodbye.